In today's video, we will clarify the difference between nominal and real gross domestic product, GDP, and also dive into the so-called GDP deflator. Let's get started. First, we need to understand what gross domestic product, GDP, is. GDP represents the value of all goods and services produced in an economy within a year, and in this way, measures the economic strength of a country. There is a distinction between nominal GDP and real GDP. Nominal GDP is the GDP calculated using the current prices of the underlying goods and services, while real GDP is based on constant prices. Real GDP takes price changes into account, including the effects of inflation or deflation, as it refers to the constant base year prices in its calculation. This is not the case for nominal GDP, which only considers current prices and does not compare them to base prices. All right, that's the theory. Let's now look at concrete examples to better understand nominal and real GDP. We are given the task of calculating the so-called GDP deflator and have been provided with a nominal GDP of $4 trillion and a real GDP of $5 trillion. The formula for calculating the GDP deflator is GDP deflator equals nominal GDP divided by real GDP multiplied by 100. The GDP deflator thus relates nominal GDP to real GDP in order to calculate the rate of price increases, that is, inflation. This works because, as explained, real GDP accounts for constant base year prices, while nominal GDP only considers current prices. By dividing nominal GDP by real GDP, we can calculate the change in prices. If the GDP deflator is greater than 100, we are dealing with price increases, that is inflation, and if it is less than 100, we are dealing with price decreases, that is deflation. All right, now we just need to plug the values into the formula and we calculate GDP deflator equals 4 trillion divided by 5 trillion multiplied by 100, which gives us a GDP deflator of 80. Since the GDP deflator is below 100, we know that we are dealing with deflation. Perfect. That's it for the first task. Next, we have the task of calculating real GDP, and we are given a nominal GDP of 7 trillion and a GDP deflator of 130. With these two values, we can already calculate real GDP. For this, we just need to rearrange our first formula with the GDP deflator, and we get real GDP equals nominal GDP divided by the GDP deflator multiplied by 100. Using the formula, we calculate real GDP equals 7 trillion divided by 130 x 100. This gives us a real GDP of $5.38 trillion. All right, so we can also check off the second task. And now we know what GDP is and how to calculate real GDP. We hope this video has helped you understand the topic of nominal and real GDP. See you next time and have a good one.